So he's in my Discord, and he used to be a co-manager of a major fund on Wall Street, of a major hedge fund on Wall Street. They manage like $4.5 billion. He's actually only in his 30s. He's not even 40 yet. That's the crazy thing of how smart this guy is. And I have him teaching my Discord. And I tell people about the soccer tokens and Rayon. He's gotten almost everything else right. Like, he's got like an insane accuracy. He's like 80% accurate, and which is quite amazing on Wall Street. And he's like, why are you talking about these soccer tokens? They're tiny on small exchanges. I'm like, do you know how much these things will pump? And he goes, no. This is like a pump dump type of behavior. I'm like, I think these coins will run up multiple X's, man. He says, in the bear market? I'm like, oh look, I think this is this American thing kicking in again. And basically, you're like, it's like he's international. He, reads Ukraine news and tries to figure out what's happening with the war over there, and reads Russian news and Chinese news. And then when you talk about the World Cup to him, he just doesn't get it. But what about someone like you, Hundo? You're like in Korean Australian. So do you see the potential in these tokens?
Yeah, interesting point. I was really surprised you actually caught that. You sent me those messages, and I thought, how the hell do you catch these? This is just mind blowing. I was actually looking a lot into Floki, Floki Inu, the token, during the bull market, and of course like the secondary bull market as well, which went up to the 69k, and that Floki was one of the new coins that did well. And Floki actually had a lot of partnerships with soccer teams, like all throughout Europe and things like that. After sort of seeing the pumps on those soccer-related tokens, I checked Floki and it didn't move very much at all. So I was hella devastated and then disappointed. So
okay. I want to ask you something there. Why did you think to check on Floki when the soccer coins were pumping? Why?
Floki had shitloads of soccer team affiliations.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay, that's a good point. Now I want to ask Brian this, because Floki, if we're going by Hando's logic, there's a coin that's officially one blockchain, one layer one blockchain, one ring to rule them all, that is actually affiliated officially with the FIFA 2002 World Cup. Do we know what it is?
No.
Brian?
Well, it's Chili's, right?
That's a sports coin. I mean, a layer one. Well, okay, I guess Chili's can be considered layer one. I mean, like a real layer one Binance Smart Chain, Ethereum chain, that sort of Matic, that not Matic, but a real layer one coin that's officially affiliated with the World Cup. By the way, I just want to tell all the people here who are listening, who are just tuning in. This is the reason we're talking about this is 2 weeks ago, I think, or 10 days ago, I posted about Brazil and Spain, these coins that are in the World Cup, and now they're up 5x. Both of them are up 5x in a bear market. Like, you didn't need to use leverage. You didn't need to get stopped out. You didn't need to be liquidated. I just said, it's like a sports bet. For fun, I think Brazil and Spain will go far, and it's gone up 5x. So, anyways, that's why we're talking about these coins. We're looking for what coins have a bullish narrative in this kind of bear market. Kind of like the Ethereum merge, because Ethereum outperformed, Matic outperformed, Quant outperformed, because they had a narrative of something that's different in this in this bear market that we're in. So that's why we're talking about these coins, because they're related to the World Cup. So my question back to Brian and Hando is, which layer one coin has a official FIFA 2002 World Cup affiliation?
Pablo, you know that I don't know anything about soccer because I'm an American. So you're
going. Oh no, but this is a blockchain question, not a soccer question. Okay, the answer is that it's Algorand. What do we think of Algorand, folks?
I mean, Algorand is one of those ISO approved, where the founder is friends with Gary Gensler, and it's supposedly going to pass regulations. And I just saw that they hired like a very high up ex-Silicon Valley executive to be on their marketing team, you know, someone very legitimate in like the business Fortune 500 world. So, I mean, I think I'm bullish on those ISO coins. I mean, I still don't understand why the bankers are going to let us all hold their precious XRP and let all the citizens get rich. That's never how it's worked, and the same problem I have with Algorand. But I mean, you know, it's probably going to survive the bear market, which is more than you can say about pretty much anything else. But I wanted to just real quick mention something that you said, Pablo, that I think is interesting. I've learned a little lesson with these soccer coins, and the lesson is that you should not marry your narratives. Just because you or me or someone listening doesn't like the soccer coin narrative or doesn't get it, doesn't mean they can't make money doing it, right? I mean, you don't have to like the narrative or believe in it. You just have to see what the world is doing and what narratives are going to pump. So we really need to keep an open mind with this stuff, because if you think about it, a lot of the narratives that might survive this bear market are probably going to be different coins than they were last time. Like I remember Pablo made a video like a week or two ago showing the top 20 list of coins from the last bull run to this bull run, and they're totally different. Everybody thinks that their precious little moon bag of, you know, all these coins from the last bull run are just going to wake up in 2 years and they're going to be the next ones to go up. Well, that's probably not true. So we all need to keep an open mind, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, there are so many coins that I don't like that have pumped. I'm surprised you're only been taught that lesson now, Brian. I mean, the so many coins that I don't like have pumped so hard, and basically, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, you know, in fact, it's mostly the coins that I don't like, from an emotional point of view, that are pumping. So I have to adjust my perspective and think, this is not about me. Hey, this is not about me. It's actually just about what makes sense to the world. Like if you say, for example, Luna Classic, how the hell is it possible for Luna Classic to be pumping? I mean, but it appeals to like maybe 1% of the market. And how big is 1% of the market? The market cap, total market cap of crypto right now, even in a bear market, is something like close to $1 trillion. So 1% is $10 billion, right? It's $10 billion of market cap pumping a coin. So, you know, that's why these things can happen. It's basically, especially in a bull market, we can just go with what we like, because everything's pumping. You go, oh, I like layer ones, I like Matic, or I like shitcoins like Shiba Inu, or I only go for utility coins, and they can all pump, you know, in a bull market. In a bear market, it's like Ethereum. You could be a Bitcoin maxine, could be against Ethereum, you could be like really against layer 2s like Matic, or you don't like layer 0, the idea of layer 0 like Quant, but they're the only ones that are pumping in the bear market. So in a bear market, you have to be really, really careful and really accurate in it's. You can hold a machine gun and shoot in a bull market, but you have to be a real good sniper in a bear market. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. And interesting, you brought up the ISO thing. That's a very healthy dose of skepticism that you have, which I think is great about you, Brian, because you have that businessman's acumen. So and this is not just about Algorand, it's about all of the coins. There are about 7 or 8 of them that are, Ethereum's one of them, I think Ripple, XRP is one of them, that are ISO compliant, so which means banks can use them to transfer money, kind of like they're earmarked. That technology, the new ISO standard, is earmarked to replace SWIFT, which is a pretty damn big thing, because the reason why Russia's kind of stuff right now is because United States kicked Russia out of the SWIFT system. That's how big this thing is. But Brian's brought up a very interesting topic, which is why would these major banks just let these cryptos take over their business just because they're ISO compliant? So what's the answer? Maybe Goldman Sachs comes up with their own ISO compliant coin. So I haven't thought about this deeply, because Brian's asked a very good question. I'll offer 2 answers from just being on the spot, like just thinking about it on the spot. One answer is that, they're all going to hug the banker's coin, which is which is HBAR, which is already, stacked with the establishment and institutional players, or they're going to go the other way, which is JP Morgan's going to come up with JP Morgan blockchain and JP Morgan coin, because it takes no money to develop something like that. It can easily do that, and Goldman's come up with their own. So either the big banks come up with their own, or this is sounding really bullish for HBAR. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, Google came out of the dot-com ashes, but it wasn't until several years after the dot-com bubble burst. And, it's sort of like there's some companies on the front end of the technology, but they're too early. Then there's some in the middle that might make it through. And then there's kind of the ones at the end that learned all the lessons from the early guys, and they're actually the winners. So it could very well be an ISO coin that wins and dominates and that everybody makes money on. Whether it's going to be the ISO coins that we have right now is hard to know. It's not. I think having a dose of humility is a good idea, and also staying very plugged into the news during the bear market. Because see, the projects that are going to build and survive and make money are still doing stuff in the bear market right now.
Yeah.
Their teams are still going to the office. They're still working. They're still releasing news. They're still forging partnerships. Just because everybody around here is saying, "Oh man, my portfolio is down so much. This is horrible. What are we going to do?" That doesn't mean that these teams aren't working. So it's a really important time to stay plugged in and see what's going on. And I just did find the Algorand Soccer World Cup partnership. It looks like Algorand is sponsoring the World Cup. Now that's pretty bullish to me, because here they are in the middle of a bear market, getting involved in a big sponsorship that's probably costing them a lot of money. I mean, that's the kind of clue that we want to look for, right?
Yeah, so far though, I'm just looking at the chart of Algorand. Hasn't had the kind of pump that we would expect, even from coins like Chili's. Like Chili's is even pumped a lot more than say Algorand. Will it pump? I have guys in my Discord who are buying Algorand now, but I mean, it's not looking bullish. It's had a breakout, as we can see. It's had a breakout above this 37 cents area, 38 cents area, and it's turned out to be a fake out and straight back into the range again. So, that's perplexing. But if you look at, I mean, you guys are all sitting in front of a laptop or on your phone, so pull up the Algorand chart, and you can see that it's basically broken back into the range, which is not a good sign. Not a good sign. So I'll be honest. Like I'm bullish on World Cup, and I'm glad so far I haven't picked Algorand as one of the major runners. I thought, look, let's just go straight to the balls. The balls. You know what I'm saying? The balls. And basically just look straight at the coins that could pump, such as what's it called? The football team coins, because they got the players. Most people see. Here's the thing, Brian. Because this is how I think, and I like to hear Rami, who's just joined us, Ramdog and Hundo, and you guys' opinion on this. My thoughts, my instincts were 2 weeks ago. The reason why I picked these coins was, it's a bear market. There's not too many people. It's the exact time to be researching and getting into your favorite coins when they crash more and dollar cost averaging in. But instead of doing that, 99% of people have disappeared off the fucking planet, off the fucking, crypto Twitter Cryptalk or crypto Twitter, and they're just hating right now rather than doing the research. Oh, Pablo didn't say 20,000. You didn't say 20,000. You didn't say that back then. Anyways, they're just jerking off in a quiet corner somewhere. But the real thing we should be doing is actually investing energy and research into these 100x probabilities in the future. And the way we do that is by looking at the layer ones, layer zeros, layer twos, and all of the exciting things. No, the majority of the market isn't going to look at that. That's the reality of a bear market. But however, what I think is bullish about this is that a lot of people who don't understand crypto at all, who have zero knowledge of crypto, maybe all they ever done is bought Doge when they heard about it from Elon Musk. That's probably the extent of their crypto knowledge, are now excited about the World Cup. And you speak to all those young men around you, you go, are you betting on the World Cup? They say, yeah. I go, which team? You go, oh, I think Portugal's going to win. Oh, I think Brazil's going to win. You go, how much money did you put on it? They go, oh, I just put in $50 just for fun. Or the more serious guys like, I put in $500. I put in $1,000 for fun. The market, the bull market for the football tokens are going to come from those guys, not the guys who are like studying, the crypto nerds who are like studying Algorand, looking up, what partnerships has it got with Walmart. Oh, Walmart is accepting Algorand. That's not where it's going to be at. It's basically the people who are basically going to be, it's the World Cup gambling money that's going to push up these coins, and whereas the crypto nerds, there's too few of them in a bear market to push up something like Algorand. So far, we've seen it hasn't popped yet, what's the word? But however, like I was saying to Brian, I was trying to convince Brian to get into these World Cup coins. I said, Brian, do you know what is the biggest gambling market in the world? And Brian was like, is it the Super Bowl, or is it like, MGM? I was like, no, it's the World Cup soccer. Once every 4 years, it dwarfs every other gambling market around you. And imagine if, I'm not promoting gambling. I'm not saying it's good. But the reality is, so much money is going to go into Dollar King or MGM or betonline.com or whatever the freaking website is, and bet on these soccer. And if 1%, I said to Brian, 1% of that $100-200 billion market found its way into soccer tokens, then and then to these football clubs, then can you imagine, like the market cap of some of these tokens right now is at like 8 mil when we're looking at it. Now they've gone up like 5x in the last 10 days. I said, imagine if $1 billion came in. $1 billion actual dollars come. This is not market cap we're talking about. $1 billion of actual money coming in. Usually the market cap goes up 10x. In theory, I'm not saying this is going to happen. But usually when 1 billion actual cash comes into something, its market cap is usually something like 10 billion. It's usually a 10x effect. It's, even if it's not 10x, certainly not 1x. So that's why I thought the instinct is to go for the gambler's money, and not go for the whatchamacallit, for the Algorand type of serious Bitcoin researchers' money. Okay, the floor is yours. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, so I got a couple thoughts on that. It's very true that these soccer coins may pump a lot more, because if the average trader or gambler is not a crypto nerd like we are, they might not even know these coins exist until they get on a bigger exchange. And when Pablo first pointed these out, this was early days. We were digging these things up on tiny little exchanges, and Pablo, being very responsible and courteous, was like, I don't know if we should tell followers about these, because these exchanges are kind of sketchy, and in sketchy exchanges, they go under, they lose your money, whatever. But then, Pablo, like, telling the future, what do we know? They get listed on Mexc, MEXC exchange, and now they're there, and that's a much bigger exchange, and the volume is much higher. So if they do get listed on an even bigger exchange as the World Cup gets closer, then all of the guys who only have Binance on their phone, or Coinbase and Binance, it'll get on their radar, and all those gamblers will kick in. I think the problem with Algorand is that it has a much higher market cap. In a bear market, it's a lot easier to find these micro narratives. I mean, when Pablo was laughing when we were on the phone, because when he first found the Spanish coin, he was like, how can this not pump? It's a $2 million market cap. He found it when it was a $2 million market cap. He was talking about it before anyone else, whereas Algorand, is already like 2.375 billion market cap. So that's going to take a lot of movement in a bear market when liquidity is dried up and interest rates are high, and Luna crashed and everybody lost their money. Like, how are you going to move a $2.5 billion crypto with this narrative? Maybe it'll happen. I really don't know. But finding a micro narrative with small caps is really a lot better, I think, in a bear market. There's a lot more upside.
Yeah. Sorry.
About finding the network effect, really. The guy's name escapes me. He has a lot of opinions in crypto. He was like an ex CEO of Goldman Sachs. Can't remember his name. He's got a beard and stuff. But anyway, he says the biggest driver of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin price, was network effect. It's just more people coming and seeing it. That's what NFT is. That's what a lot of that's what meme coins is and things like that. So I think Pablo, you've done a good job in finding where the next network effect would I guess consolidate, which in this case is soccer, and there's going to be a lot of viewership. The character matches up as well. These guys most of them are gamblers, and they found something that they like, and then boom, a small portion of this market has come together, and it's caused a crypto to moon. And I guess like something that played into that, I guess, is also I call this the KuCoin effect, and these exchanges, right? They still have a lot of influence right now, because if you go to like their Twitter and things like that, they have millions of followers on their Twitter. So when they do have a new listing that's about to launch, they normally announce it. So like, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but there was this employee in Coinbase that was just like that.
Yeah.
Invested all this money before it launched, and then this bloody Kobe on Twitter found out about him, and then sent the information off to the FBI, and there's all that saga. I think a lot of people would already know what that's all about. But just following the liquidity, is helpful. So I think there was like a double whammy in this situation. With a pooling of the network effect with the right type of people that are going to just ape in, if you like, and then the network effect that was added on by having it on exchange like Mexc. And I know, as an influencer, I know Mexc is a pretty aggressive company when it comes to listing and pumping. Mexc is like really known for even providing futures trades to super low cap coins as well. So that's like extra risky. That's what they pride themselves in doing. And so I think when they do decide to launch something, especially in this market, and you got to realize these exchanges get paid money to list cryptocurrencies, and they're probably not going to list something and see it flop. They probably want to see it go boom. So in the bull market, they will be okay with listing basically any coin off the street. But I suspect now, if I would also be interested in looking at the consistency of performance on new launches on I guess this kind of exchange. Mexc is no longer a small exchange, I don't think. They're pretty strong on spot and spot volume, and on sort of the smaller cap coins as well. They're kind of like the new Gate.io, if not, they're in no way, shape, or form new, because they've been around for ages. But they're trying to crack into that space where they're like the shining beacon of micro cap success. Now that doesn't mean every coin that launches there will be successful, but I don't know. I'll be pretty interested to find out like how well cryptocurrencies do as for the ones that do actually end up listing on there. But all I can say, Pablo, is literally like good find, man. I mean, it's a risky find. I guess anything here is like in this time and age, in this time of the market, is going to be a pretty risky find. You got what you said about the sniper and the machine gun is right, but the problem is it's far easier to hold a machine gun and shoot than it is to grab a sniper gun and try to hit the nail on the head. That's just simple fact of the matter, and it's mathematically and statistically just harder to do, I guess. And I think seeking out that narrative is good, but for me, how do we seek out, or how do we predict the question I think we should ask if we all want to make money is, well, then what is the next narrative that the cryptocurrency market is going to catch on to? I think we've had a brief chat about this when we're at the convention, Pablo, is we've seen the metaverses, the VR stuff, and we've also seen we've seen the dog related coins, which could do well as well, because Elon Musk always likes to pump. An interesting thing you've noted as well, Doge is one of the very few coins that actually did well in this bull market than it did in the previous bull market, which I think was an important distinction to make as well. So I don't know, I might throw something back on the table and say, look, where do we think the next narrative is in terms of the next bull market coming in, or even in the nearer future, I guess. Soccer being one for now. What's the next one?
Rami, you have any ideas? Ramdog? Okay, so also I've just noticed June's here. June's the head of communications at HBO. If you want to, I've invited you to speak, June. If you want to hop on and share some thoughts with us, that would be good as well. The thing is, I guess we have to do our due diligence, Brian, and now is the section where we have to tell everyone. Basically, the reason why there was a lot of hesitation about these coins, and if you're in my Discord, you know this as well, is that because we have, it's very difficult to verify actually what is going on with these coins, because they just seem to be these. Even today, we're not 100% sure that these are the official coins of Brazil and of Spain. I mean, all I can say is that I've done a lot of research. I don't speak Portuguese. I've done a lot of research. I've done a lot I've asked Portuguese speakers around me. I've got friends who even play for Brazil. What's his name? The guy called something Costa. He's retired now from the Brazilian team, but if you remember, there was a Brazilian player by the name of Costa. We tried to reach out to him. I've tried everybody to make sure this is real. So far, we're still not 100%, but at least, since I spoke about it, more and more bigger exchanges like Mexc are listing them. Now, Mexc is not, in the top 5 or anything, but the people, who know crypto around me tell me that it's actually kind of a big deal in the United States. So, the problem is this. Let me tell you, so far all the coins that are World Cup related or soccer related are related to the big soccer, are all related to the Chile's or Socios app, and their token is CHZ. Their token is CHZ. The problem is Brazil and Spain are 2 outliers that are listed not on the CHZ chain or not under Socios. They're listed on this tiny chain called Bitsy, BITCI, which is a Turkish originated blockchain. And then people instantly, when I first look at it, and my friends looked at it and says, "Oh, I don't know about that, man. That sounds dodgy." And I said to them, they said, "Seems like a scam." And I said to them, "Okay, I am willing to believe in that." I said, "Listen, if you are a scammer, how would you do this? How would you take advantage of the World Cup? How would you plan this campaign?" And basically, they all said the same thing. They said, "Okay, you wait till it's like 2 or 3 months before the World Cup starts, get a few influencers to pump this thing, and list it on Binance Smart Chain, and then make sure it's available on Uniswap and SushiSwap and PancakeSwap, all the dexes, as widely pumped as possible, and just pump it with influencers everywhere." I said, "Okay, now, when was these 2 coins launched?" Like a year ago, way before the World Cup. Okay, maybe these guys don't know about marketing. Okay, which influencers are talking about these coins other than me 2 weeks ago? Nobody. Even now, if you're on Twitter right now, just search the words BFT or SNFT. Those are the token symbols. I think the only thing that comes up is me. I'm pretty sure. Like, I'm still the only one who's talking about them. So there's no influencer campaign. Third of all, yeah, I agree. If you're going to pump this as a scam, wouldn't you go on Binance Smart Chain or at least Ethereum so that then everybody can buy it on a DEX, like a decentralized exchange, like something like PancakeSwap or SushiSwap, Uniswap? Nobody can buy it. It's like so small, nobody can buy it. It's stuck on this Bitsy chain. I don't know what their DEX is. I don't think they even have a DEX. Nothing about this makes sense. As I reiterate, I can't be 100% sure about this coin. Although I was about 90% sure, and then I told my Discord about it, and I told them, some of you guys speak Portuguese, some of you guys live in Brazil. Why don't you do the research and tell me what's happening? Because I can't verify this. I'm not a Portuguese speaker. And then Mexc listed them. So that's kind of a social proof of my research. Although it's still not 100%. It's probably higher than 90% now, I would say. And then I would say one more thing is that basically, it's what I personally think has happened, is just my theory, is that this is so bizarre that it's probably true. What happened is the association, the CBF, the Confederation of Brazilian Football, had no idea about how to get into blockchain. It's kind of like if you went to Steph Curry or Shaquille O'Neal, and you said, "Hey man, you got to be on the into crypto, man," and they have no idea about crypto. I'm just assuming they have no idea about crypto, and they're like, "Yeah, we heard a lot about this NFT crypto thing. We gotta get in there, man. We gotta get in there," and this tiny chain approaches them and says, we have this much trading volume. We're a big exchange. We're called Bitsy, and they have no idea. And maybe there's corruption within the Brazilian Football Association or the Spanish Football Association. They just haven't done their homework. They have no idea. They're sitting on like 4 aces or a royal flush. They have no idea they're sitting on a royal flush. I guess in a way to defend them, they shouldn't be concerned with crypto because their main job is to get Spain to win the World Cup and get Brazil to win the World Cup. They shouldn't be just fully invested in what's the word in how to make money from crypto. They should just be concentrating on football, which it seems like what they're doing. So they just sign on to this tiny little chain 1 year out from the World Cup, not knowing what they're doing at all. It sounds to me exactly like what a football team that is concentrating on football and knows nothing about blockchain would do. It's the exact type of mistake I expect them to make. However, having said that, I still cannot say, I must say again, I still cannot say I'm 100% sure. I am not 100% sure if they are the genuine coins, but they have been listed on a bigger exchange such as Mexc now, so I can breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah, I think the top exchange is Mexc listing it. I think played a massive role. So if you look at the spot exchange volume across the world, as of today, sitting at number 1 is no brainer, Binance. Sitting at number 2 isn't KuCoin. It's actually Mexc. So Mexc has had $5.3 billion in trade volume in the last 24 hours. It's sitting above KuCoin. It's sitting above FTX, way above FTX actually. It's sitting above Bybit, these other exchanges, and so it's a big deal. And if you look at the BFT token as well, 92% of its trading volume comes from, you guessed it, Mexc. I looked at some of the recent launches on.
Sorry, just to interrupt you, Hando.
Yeah.
What did you say it's above of? Which metric or which table are you referring to?
I'm referring to the top currency spot exchanges.
Okay, yep.
Yeah. Then we're ranking by trading volume in the last 24 hours.
Right.
Yeah. And so Binance sitting number 1, number 2 is Mexc. Who would have thought? And what really jumps out to me is that Mexc is an exchange that has literally so many new coin listings. That they've got more than 1,500 coins listed on their exchange, which comes to show all these crypto nerds. Well, I mean, can I even really say that anymore? But like the crypto people that have survived or still sticking around, they're not stupid. They're eyeing out these opportunities to get into these smaller launches as well. Also, another point I'd like to add is if you look at the newly launched coins on Mexc.com, you can see that they are pushing 5 trading pairs, out of which 3 of them have gone up above 160%. So one has gone up 254%, one's 170%, one's 164%. So I think Mexc knows the effect that it has on launching small cap cryptocurrencies and expecting a decent pump that could come from it as well, because of the pooling of all your mums and dads that joined on crypto.com because Matt Damon bloody advertised it. They're out because they met with their niece and nephews in Thanksgiving, and they bought all these coins and they lost money, so they're all out. But the guys that have like Mexc and Gate.io, they're still playing. They're still playing this game. And I think the point about the Bitsy blockchain, which you told us is something that you never heard of, and so DEX players are out. So really, the only thing that could really bring in the volume would have to be the centralized exchanges.
Right. Yeah. So that's a good call, Handle, because I just looked up on the coin market cap, and Mexc is ranked number 10 which is pretty damn good. That's a surprise. I haven't heard of it that much. I thought it was a small exchange.
That's just based on the exchange score, though. If you sort by volume, like which is where Papa is the money, Mexc is actually sitting at number 2 in terms of volume. So click volume 24-hour at the top.
Yeah.
So
whoa! No way.
Yeah, ranked by.
Wow, 5 billion.
I know, it's a lot, man. It's freaking heaps, man.
Wow. That's huge.
Coinbase is well down the line. Gate.io is 1.5 billion. They're doing something right, man.
Can you believe?
I will point out that when I researched exchange volume, apparently it's not completely accurate. There are some ways of sort of gaming that and making it look higher than it really is. I don't know if Mexc is engaged in that or not. I will say I agree with Handel, though, that when Gate got banned in the United States, a lot of people went to MEXC as sort of a substitute. And I've used MEXC extensively and really like them as well. So it doesn't surprise me that they have really high volume right now.
MEXC, if you go on CoinGecko, they have a similar list as well, exchanges by volume. With like how they measure the like at what time they measure the last 24 hours or whatever might be different, but yeah, MEXC is still coming in at number 2 in terms of volume. They've got their own methods of like ranking the trust score or like the exchange score or whatever, but I think that's more arbitrary in some sense, because that's basically CoinMarketCap going like, yo, we'll give out of 10 Binance the highest score. Well, Binance bloody owns CMC, so like, that's sort of, I don't really look at the trust score so much. Maybe it's to do with like regulation and approval, but I just clicked the volume straight away just to see where the money is flocking towards.
Yeah.
And you know what, Brian, I agree with you as well. Mexc is decent. There's literally like 10 people from Mexc reaching out to me. I'm a small influencer, and they're going crazy in terms of like affiliations and everything else. And I personally go, like in terms of shitcoin trading or these low cap moonshots, if you're going for that in this market, I would stay away from. I won't even bother with the DEXs, to be honest. I'll just go to the Mexc and go, like keep an eye out on the Twitter. I guess crypto Twitter and like the exchange Twitter accounts to see what kind of things.
Okay, just a quick interruption to everyone whilst we're on this topic, because I'd like everyone to go to CoinMarketCap on your laptop right now. And this is the chain I'm talking about, Bitsy. What I've noticed is that Brian actually brought this up, and I disagreed with him, but it seems like Brian was probably right about this. So at the time, Brian was like, so you're telling me, Pablo, that these two football tokens of national football tokens of Brazil and Spain are listed on this tiny chain called Bitsy, which is from Turkey, and it's not listed on what you might call it. It's not listed on Chile's or Socios. I said, yeah, and Brian was like, no, shouldn't we be buying that Bitsy coin? And what I've noticed is that places like Gate.io and places like Mexc are not only listing Argentina, Portugal, Spain, Brazil, these national football club tokens, but they're also listing Bitsy. Bitsy has just been listed, I think, on Gate and also on on Mexc. I need to double check that, but on some of these major exchanges I've just noticed, and they've been popping. So and they've obviously come in a little bit later. They've 3x'd in the last let's see. So they were they're about 10 cents, 1 cent now, about 1 cent now, but they were at just 0.3 cents. 0.3 cents in what's the date here? In end of July, August. Yeah. So let's say August, they were still 0.3 cents. Now they're 1 cent. So that's like a 3x in 2 months. So they've started the run as well, but slower run. And I think it's because people realized, well, the more people... I think there's a very, very obvious explanation for why they're going up. It's just like ETH goes up when NFTs are going crazy, because when Brian and I first started on this, we're like, how do you buy these coins? And Brian found out some tiny exchange, and he's like, you can't even buy it using stable coins. You have to use whatchamacallit, you have to buy the Bitsy coin to buy these coins. That's the same reason why Chili's has been going up, because you have to buy the Chili's coin to buy the on a lot of apps to buy into the Portugal or Argentina soccer coins. Now you have to buy this Bitsy coin to buy into Brazil and Spain. So, and they're getting listed on the bigger exchanges as well. So I feel like the move for them is just starting. Although I have to say, I don't know if these, I don't know if any of this is legit or not. I've done a lot of research. I try to verify this. But as you know, I don't speak Turkish. I don't speak Portuguese. I don't know if any of these are legit or not. It currently has a market cap of 80. So it will start off by probably something like 23, 20, 22, sorry, about 25, 26 market cap. And now it's about 80. So I don't know. Maybe that's another play in there. Sorry, back to you guys.
Yeah, I mean that was definitely a barrier for people to get into these coins early. After Pablo found these, I told my followers about them, but a lot of people were confused because first of all, you have to use a new exchange. Back then, it was these were on these smaller exchanges like these exchanges were called Big One and XT.com. So you have to set up a new exchange. Now, I personally found that XT.com was fine. They did my KYC right away, level 2 KYC, whatever. It was great. You have to know that you can transfer crypto into the exchanges without, needing to attach your bank account. Some people don't know that. You have to know how to buy into the pair, the trading pair, which then was the soccer coins matched with Bitsy. You couldn't buy it in stablecoin, which also means that when you sell it and you're like, oh, I'm done, I'm going to take profits, you better remember to also sell your Bitsy, because when you're trading out of the soccer coins, you're not trading into stables because that's not part of the pair. You're trading into another volatile asset, right? So there were all these things people had to know. Now that it's on Mexc, a lot of that goes away. It's a USDT pair. It's an exchange a lot of people already know and have accounts with. So yeah, but it's also like Pablo said, finding something early might mean you have to jump through some hoops. And that's what I was trying to explain to my followers is like, guys, I know this is a pain in the butt, but the market cap is $2 million and the World Cup is coming up. It is going to be a huge narrative. If you can't get that through your head, maybe you should be saying, do you want fries with that instead of investing in crypto? Because that's where the home runs are.
Brian's been scoring plenty of home runs himself with his comedy routine lately. So, are there other coins that we are bullish on other than the soccer coins? Is there because I'm sure a lot of people here are from United States or are from parts of the world where they're not interested in soccer, United States, and so if that's the case, let us know. What other coins should we be talking about? I mean, any more you guys want to say on the soccer coins once, because after that, then I'd like to move on to the back to the theme of the topic, which is how do we pick winners in a bear market.
Yeah, just before we move on, Pablo, okay, here's something really interesting. So Bitsy obviously is big in Turkey. Okay, yeah. What's the inflation rate at Turkey at the moment, boys?
80%. Yeah,
really high, right? So I wonder if that had a role into it as well. So the Bitsy token also has a peg against the TRY. And so that could have played a role in people then flocking towards, the cryptocurrency exchange that's obviously making everybody be able to jump in. And so that was another very interesting observation that I made. And Bitsy is actually an exchange as well. It's a centralized exchange as well.
Yeah.
Seems that it had something stupid like 3.8 billion trading volume in the last 24 hours as well, which I thought was freaking huge for something that we've never heard of.
Well, the reason why is because over the last 30 hours, 24 hours, whatever it is, Brazil has gone up 5x, Spain has gone up 5x, and if you've been following Pablo and Brian, then you would have gotten onto, you would be on the gravy train. The gravy train, fuck the police. How does that go? It goes, anyways, I'm not going to rap here, so.
Why not? Go for it. You're on a roll, bro. Keep going.
Okay. Anyways, the Ramdog. How about you? You're like, you've got like a Egyptian background, Aaron, but you guys watch soccer. You guys are in this World Cup every now and then. What are your thoughts on
Oh,
this?
absolutely. Absolutely. It's religious. I've been tailing you guys, so I've just been following your guys' plays. But I wanted to ask a question about like the exchanges on when you were talking about like the volumes and stuff like that. When you're looking at these coins, like you're seeing a lot of market makers watch trading. Like how much is organic? You know what I'm saying? And how can we, be able to pick which one is going to be most legit? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying about how I was reading about how these exchanges can fake their volume and they can manipulate certain numbers. And yeah, exactly. The market makers can make behind the scenes trades to boost. That's why they have the whole trust score, on these exchanges. I do think that kind of gets into the weeds a little bit, though, of I don't know that we're going to be able to pick the best. Hey, I mean, look at the exchanges that haven't gone under yet, right? The ones that are still liquid. That's a pretty good sign in the bear market.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I guess a lot of those volumes can be faked, and it's you gotta look at other stats. Yeah, that's a very good point as well. On that note, though, I would like to say, what is generally? I'd like to ask you three gentlemen, what is generally your method of finding winners in a bear market, crypto or stocks? What are your methods?
Well, I can start off on that one because I was just about to say this. I have one in mind, and this is one that I've been telling my followers that I would put like real money into this one in a bear market. I mean, I would this is like almost as reliable as a stock to me. And here's some reasons. Let's see if you guys can figure out which one it is. All right. Okay, so they just announced two huge sponsorships and partnerships in a bear market. I'm talking huge Fortune 500 companies. You guys will get this one for sure as I go on. They're a layer one and a layer two. All of the projects that we're building on Terra Luna blockchain, 75 projects just moved over to them. Well, this is like a few months ago when Luna went under. And they have a market cap right now of 5 billion, which is pretty darn small compared to like your huge, blockchains, with a fully diluted market cap of only 7 billion, which means almost all of the coins are already on the market. Does anybody know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know. Uh, does Ramdog and Hando want to jump in on this?
I'm out. Shit, I don't know if I know this one.
Brian's talking about Matic. So Matic
Okay,
is
okay.
Matic is something now that is very interesting because there's a big race. Oh, geez. I mean, it looks like in a centralized way, since that ETH has now succeeded, it seems, with the merge, then ETH is the heir apparent to the whole Web 3.0 infrastructure. So it looks like at this point in time, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm just going with what the world looks like right now. It looks like the world is going to be layer 0 quant, layer 1 ETH, layer 2 Matic, and it's lining up to look like that is the golden combination. Certainly, the market is pricing it that way. I mean, that's why you're seeing these coins. That's why you're seeing these coins doing so well in a bear market. I mean, all of those coins are up at least 2x, if not 3x, if in a bear market when Bitcoin is like at testing its new low at 18K, and the SP 500, as I have been saying, if you've been watching my videos, the SPY has hit 362. It's gone past it a little bit. It's basically trying to do a double bottom or a lower bottom, and basically those three coins. Usually, my thinking is you try to see which coins are being bought in a bear market and holds up well in a bear market. It's kind of like, so imagine you take a beach ball. You take a beach ball and it's got a lot of air in it. It really wants to bounce up. The bear market are like your hands, right? Like imagine a bear of a man pushing that beach ball into the water behind me, and they're just trying to shove it down. And the ones that don't have a lot of air in it will just go down, right? And they'll just sink to the bottom. This one is like Matic, like Quant, like ETH are just bubbling to the surface, bubbling to the first surface. And imagine a bear of a man with lots of muscles just pushing it down, pushing it down. Imagine when the bear market is gone. The ones that have sunk to the bottom, that doesn't have a lot of air in them, will just stay at the bottom. But as soon as you let your hands go, that beach ball is going to pop out of the water and go like about 2 feet into the air. So that's right now. I think it's not always true. Nothing is 100% in the market, but I think it's worth watching the old adage of the coins that basically run the most, that stay strong in a bear market. Imagine what they can do in a bull market. So, and right now, I say that with a caveat, as in it looks like it. I emphasize it looks like it's going to be layer 0 quant, layer 1 ETH, and layer 2 Matic. That looks like a golden combination. But however, I think we said about this last time me and Brian had a chat. I said, look, guess what Google was ranked in terms of monthly users, daily users, whatever, when Yahoo was #1 in the world. For the young kids who don't even remember what Yahoo was. Well, Google was ranked number 19. If you rank up all the top 20, top 40, top 50 layer 1s and, layer 0s, layer 2s, whatever, the number 19th guy could win. Just because they're ranked #1 now doesn't mean they'll win. That's why, for example, for layer 0, for layer 2s, Matic is a ZK rollup, and so is LRC. Does Loopring still have a shot? It probably does. What even Optimism? That is still, even though Vitalik says he prefers the zero knowledge rollups, but the Optimism ones still have an advantage. They can't be ruled out either. What if Chainlink comes back and beats Quant? I know it's not likely. I mean, MIT just came out and said, MIT just published a paper 2 days ago saying from their tests. This is the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. I have huge respect for those guys. I think they're the smartest tech and quant guys in the world. They've just come out and said that quant, QNT, is the only, I don't think they specify layer 0, but the only chain they can see, the only technology in blockchain right now that can support internet kind of scale, what Handel calls network. If that network effect does happen and literally 2 billion people use it every day, then for transactions, create NFTs to build a metaverse on it, you can't do that on a Bitcoin. I don't care if it's Lightning or whatever. Bitcoin wasn't built for that purpose. You can't do that on, I don't know, on ETH right now, even after the merge, but you can do it on Quant. So, but however, remember, I think Brian and I, or Rayon and I, were having this conversation. I said, do you know, there's a layer 0 coin that JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs are actually holding 20% of its coins, or holding significant shares, or a stakeholder in it. And can you guess what it is? And long story short, the answer is it's Chainlink. I mean, we can dismiss Chainlink and say it's not as good as Quant, but it's Chainlink's built a lot of infrastructure when it comes to being an oracle, and also it's got institutional backing. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan are behind it. I mean, just because something is better technology doesn't mean it will be adopted by the world. So we cannot discount those things. And one more thing I'll say about ETH, and I'd like to then kick it over to our other knowledgeable and respectable gentleman, is that Ethereum, I like it for the merge and I don't like it for the merge. I think it's a double-edged sword. I like ETH for the merge in that before you were spending so much money just to mint a coin. It's quite often you couldn't even transfer money on ETH. You couldn't transfer a coin on ETH because it's $250 gas fees to transfer $70 worth of an NFT or whatever. It's just crazy. That cannot happen. So by them going through the merge, great. But since they've gone through the merge, now you look at it, and what I was afraid of, the thing that I was afraid of, my darkest fears has been realized, because on the one level, before my fear was proof of stake. So all the guys who have the largest collections of ETH, the ETH whales, can basically stake it and control or reverse transactions. And I get it. No one controls 51%. No one even controls close to 20%. But imagine if they all got in a room, and I'm looking at you, Ethereum Foundation. Imagine if they all got into one chat room. It's like big influencers like Hundo, Rami, Brian, myself, Mason, Blockchain Boy, Big Boy Crypto. We all know each other. We're all in the same chat rooms. If I want to, speak to Wendy, Crypto Wendy, I can speak to Wendy. We can all just within 5 minutes, we can all just jump in one chat room and be like, "Hey, this is the direction we think crypto TikTok should go. That's the direction we think crypto Twitter should go." And boom, you see a new trend happening on crypto Twitter, and that was my biggest fear before. But now it gets even worse because people are staking it on Lido. And people are staking it on I think it's Coinbase. So if you add up Coinbase and Lido, that makes up 43% of the ETH staking. 43% of what we ETH staked. And if you add up Binance and one more, you get over 51%. So essentially, if you are the United States government, and let's say you got the Canadian truckers, who are protesting, and they're transferring their money to each other to support the Canadian trucker protests, and the bank accounts have been frozen, and they're transferring money using the ETH system, which is proof of stake. And then, the Canadian government, the US government, whoever wants to stop this movement, and they can just, theoretically, right? I mean, it's not so theoretical because it's already happening in Canada. They could just call up four guys, including CZ, head of Brian Armstrong, the head of Coinbase, whoever runs Lido, and one other guy, Kraken or whoever, founder, and says, "Hey, the IRS might want to crow up your butt this year and give you a good, thorough, tax audit." They don't even have to threaten anything else other than a tax audit. And these guys will be like, okay, let's reverse these transactions, or let's stop these transactions. It's essentially, it's no different from saying, hey, I make transfer of money to Brian using Wells Fargo or Citibank. And you say, who owns Wells Fargo? Well, it's these four hedge funds owns Wells Fargo. Who owns Citibank? Well, these three hedge funds own Citibank. For the U.S. government to stop me or stop Brian from sending money to me or each other, vice versa, they just have to call up these three institutions and say, let me speak to a CEO. You want to get a tax audit? You want to get a proper IRS up your butthole kind of tax audit? Just keep on doing what you're doing. That's all it takes to stop these transactions. We are back to Wells Fargo. We're back to Citibank again. Although yes, there's smart contract, there's NFTs, there's lots of innovation on there, but don't be mistaken, guys. It is very centralized. I like it because there's smart contracts, there's NFTs, there's all these weird and wonderful things. Web 3.0, you can't do MasterCard, Visa, or Web 2.0. But it certainly is not decentralized. So keep that in mind. It's a good and bad. It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, so I have kind of a controversial opinion on this that I think you guys will like. If you look at what cryptos might survive the bear market and bounce up out of the water, like Pablo said with the beach ball that's been held under, really the vision and the mission statement and the purpose of the crypto is irrelevant. And that people might say, what do you mean it's irrelevant? Here's what I mean. There's so much change happening in the crypto industry right now that adaptability and flexibility is really what's going to win. And you saw this with companies like Amazon. Amazon started as just an online book company. That's what they did. That's all they did. But over the years, they have changed their revenue source, their main revenue streams. Every few months, they are just constantly being flexible to adapting to how to make money. I think that's a very interesting characteristic to look for in these crypto projects, and that's one of the reasons why Matic is one of my favorite, Polygon Matic, because they have their hands in almost every pie right now. I mean, they're doing a little bit of everything, and they're not just doing it a little bit, they're doing a lot of everything. So I have a feeling that Polygon Matic, if there's a boardroom or there's a discussion among their leadership, and they see a new trend or they see a new opportunity, they're going to be in a very easy position to jump into whatever is happening. They have the resources, they have the partnerships, and they have already like 5 different narratives going on. I'm not saying Polygon Matic for sure is going to be the one that wins out, but I think that sort of flexibility, and I hate to say, like, that's why, like, I'm not a huge fan of Cardano, because Cardano's trying to be perfect at just this one thing, just be a perfect layer one. And you just can't be a perfect layer one right now. There's just too much changing, and perfection is not the goal. Adaptability, flexibility, and innovation is the goal, in my humble opinion.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see also, like what you're saying with Polygon and Pablo, you were talking about Algo with their NFT marketplace, to see which really, Ethereum, which crypto is really going to be, allow users to fully trust and build upon, for their NFT collection. You're seeing, XRP, HBAR, they're all coming out, and know which one is going to be the best. Obviously, I love the Ethereum with what apes are doing right now and everything like that. And ApeCoin was going to veer off and have their own blockchain, but they decided to stay on Ethereum. So it's still way too early kind of to determine which one is going to be the best, I feel like, right now.
And then there's that theory, Google was number 19 and then it became number 1. I think the sensible thing would be to, as great as it would be, just to be able to snipe out a 10x overnight or something like that. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen. Clearly, it does happen. But rather than that, I think we need to start sort of putting the eggs in different basket. That's how I would personally play. We can make the most sensible judgments around the most fundamentally amazing data and partnerships and information, and yet we may still find that there isn't too much of a gain for us. I don't want to speak like a Bitcoin maximalist or anything like that either, but I guess the market is quite challenging at the moment to spot out what the next narrative would be, and so but I would probably stick on the side of what Brian is saying, because the best we have is information and existing and ongoing partnerships, and so I think it's just the sensible thing would be to just keep an eye on that and sort of gravitate towards that for now, and see if we can lock in those gains as we go along the way, and just listen to Pablo, whatever he's picking, I guess.
No. I think this is a field that takes a lot of research. I'm more than happy to hear your guys' ideas. I did the research, at 4:00 in the morning where I am, calling up Rayon, calling up Brian, saying, hey, what do you guys think of this? And help me scope it out. Is it a scam? Is it for real? And that research has paid off. So those research will pay off in the bear market, and it'll be worth it. It might make some life-changing investments for you. Now, I agree that with Hundo that it's actually too early to tell. It's actually a little bit too early to tell. The one example we can compare to is Amazon. Amazon and Pets.com were the two big stocks, and Pets.com sank and went nowhere. Yahoo is now delisted. Get that through your head. Yahoo is delisted, and Google number 19 is now up, but Amazon's now up big. So I think ETH has a real good shot of being kind of like the Amazon of the space, but there could be another coin that could come along. Especially in an area as volatile as this. Speaking of which, are there any stock market plays? I know Brian has one that folks want to talk about in the bear market.
Well, yeah, my play is more of a philosophy or an idea of what's going on with the macro right now, and so the dollar is very strong. So people who hold dollars can buy foreign assets for a discount. Now, what foreign assets you choose to buy is up to you, but the opportunity is there, and with Britain's currency, the pound, just collapsing right now.
I was looking into this iShares ETF that's basically a group of all the biggest stocks in Great Britain, and it just fell off a cliff as currency's been tanking. So we can basically, as Americans, buy Britain on sale. Like, when the exchange rate changes and you're like, oh, I can get my medication overseas, or my, whatever, my dog food, my jacket. Oh, it's on sale because the exchange rate. I've run multinational businesses for 20 years. I own a book publishing company, and so I'm used to looking at the exchange rate all the time. And so you can buy stuff on sale now if you have dollars. And Pablo has an extremely broad amount of knowledge about where to buy real estate, and looking at all these different regions where the currency is just getting crushed. But this is an opportunity of a lifetime in a lot of ways, you guys, because not only is, and I'm specifically talking to Americans, but the U.S. currency isn't the only one that's strong relative to some of these really weak economies right now. But it's a double whammy, because not only is our currency a lot stronger than it's been historically in 37 years, also these other economies are struggling, and there might be fire sales on real estate, and fire sales on stocks, and fire sales on assets. So, for example, if you know of a company that's doing well in Great Britain that I'm just going to use as an example.
Okay, Brian, just interrupting quickly. What's the symbol that you have for us? What's the ETF symbol?
Okay, so the symbol is EWU. EWU.
Okay.
And it's a very legitimate, huge, like $50 billion market cap. This is not a small. This is a mainstream ETF, iShares ETF, which is one of the biggest. If you guys don't know,
Is it listed on Bitsy.com?
I don't think so, but it is listed on all of your normal stock platforms, Webull, Fidelity, whatever you guys want to use. And again, I'm not saying to buy this tomorrow, right? Like the pound could still go down. Winter's coming in Britain, whatever you want to say, but it's just good to be aware that these opportunities are out there. And I did buy quite a bag of this personally, because I just think that Great Britain's going to adjust course. That they have been doing sort of the opposite of what the United States is doing. They're giving tax cuts, and they're probably due for a big interest rate hike. So macroeconomically, I think they're going to recover. But by the way, I didn't even know this. When I have a viral video on this that got 500,000 views yesterday, apparently it's kind of resonating with a lot of people. I didn't even know when I made the video that it also pays a 5% dividend. So doesn't that just blow your mind? Not only can you buy Great Britain on sale right now, you can also buy a stock with a 5% dividend. Again, not financial advice. I'm not saying you should go out and buy it tomorrow. It might go down another 40%. I don't know.
Okay, Brian, it's a very compelling thesis, especially for Americans. And I'm just looking at the long-term chart of it's EWU, right? Yeah.
Yes, it is. And before you talk about how horrible the long-term chart is, because it's not the best. This to me is like a swing trade. I think it's going to hit some range lows soon over the next year, and then it's going to bounce up like maybe 50, 100%. It's not a 10x. It's not a 100x. But remember that you're buying the economy of an entire first world country, so it's also, I think, a lot safer. That's what you have to realize. It's maybe a 1x.
I agree with you. I'm just going to point out the range that I have in mind. If everybody opens up their trading view or whatever website you use for your charts, if you look at EWU, and this is Brian's recommendation, which I think makes a lot of sense, but I think in terms of market timing, if technicals mean anything, it's very interesting that you can see three clear bottoms. One happened in March 2003, one happened in March 2009, and one happened in March 2020. Okay, well, all happened in March. So those clearly correlate with the COVID crash of March 2020, the GFC crash that ended in March 2009, and the dot-com bubble, which crashed in 2000, but markets didn't bottom till March 2003. So, and they all ended around 20.5, as low as 18. But really, once it hits about 20.5, that's kind of the starting to be the bottom range. I mean, if we were to play it for range, if we're looking at the chart of EWU, then just from a pure technical point of view, not I'm saying that that's what I'm going to do. Once it breaks 20.5, that's where, from a range buying point of view, the the orders would go in. But I understand what Brian's getting at, because he called me yesterday. He texted me and he said, I think there's too much panic on the Great British Pound right now. I think the panic is overdone, oversold. Now it's time to go in. Now, I respect Brian because he's got a lot of great instincts. Often when he says stuff like that, he turns out to be right. And he turns out to be right for the short term. I am more looking at it for the long term. I think for the longer term, I think my personal opinion is, and this I need to preface this by first apologizing to a lot of our British and European listeners, by saying that I think Britain's in fair bit of trouble, and it's I mean, yeah, you could have said that about Britain in 2003. You could have said that about them in 2009. You could have said that about them in 2020. So when that EW gets to 20 or so, that's where probably my buy order would be. I don't think it's going to be worse than those instances. It's probably just as bad. But there is an argument saying that Britain's done a few things that makes it go into a decline that isn't as the same scenario as 2000, and it's not the same Britain as the year 2000. It's not the same Britain as year 2009. I do get it. It's a safe first world country, and then come on, guys, it's Great Britain. It's like the fifth largest economy in the world. What can go wrong with it? Maybe this new government, Liz Truss, can and his new treasury, what do you call treasurer of the exchequer? What do they call it? The treasury guy, the exchequer guy, the Quanton. Maybe those two guys and girls can turn this thing around. I need to see better policies from them. I mean, when this thing, if it drops to 20.5, I might pick up some, depending on what I think of their policies. But they can't keep on coming out with crappy, nonsensical policies like what they're doing now. Doesn't make sense. And yeah, sorry.
I tend to have a view on, I guess, UK in the short term, probably quite bearish as well. And I would probably bet my money on it hitting that 20 support. So, we got the Bank of England hiking rate to 200 basis points by November, which is a news report as of yesterday. And then the tax cut as well. So I think it's going to be pretty bad in the shorter term. And then I think, yeah, you're right. You have to look at the policies as and when that point comes along. But in the short term, it looks like it's in quite a fair bit of trouble.
Yeah, just to point out one quick thing on the chart, it doesn't show the dividend. If you guys have ever looked at like S&P 500 long-term chart, it's a dire mistake to not factor in the dividend, because that dividend compounds every year.
Compounds,
and
yeah.
If you just look at any old chart of the S&P 500, you go, that's really not that great. But if then you add in dividends, there are some charts that show the dividends. It's a whole different picture. So it's also the same with this. And along those lines, one of my general bear market philosophies is a saying that I really like from one of my mentors, and it's I'll say it. It pays you while you wait. It pays you while you wait. So a lot of things do this, like rental property, right? People are like, why do you own rentals right now, Brian? The market's going up and down, up and down. I'm like, exactly. I don't care what the market's doing. If those rental properties pay for my dinner tomorrow night, it pays me while I wait. And then, in 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, when I want to sell it, it's worth a lot more money. So I do like the passive income dividend there. I mean, it's neither here nor there. You guys can make of that as what you will. But for a lot of people who want financial stability in a bear market, income producing assets is a great way to go.
Yeah. I mean, look, Brian, I might add that though. The chart is probably one thing I like about EWU, to be honest, in that it's so close to that support. I mean, I think no other market, I think at the moment, looks like this. So I think in that sense, it actually does excite me to actually look at the charts. I probably stand more on the monetary policy side of things when I say in the short term it doesn't look so bad. And I'm so totally agreeing with you on. I would totally agree with you on that cash flow point as well, because you're right. Cash flow is really important in bear markets. That's it. I cannot speak so any highly of that. I'm a real estate investor myself, and cash flow is truly the king of any kind of investment, I think. And so, but yeah, I would look at this and this is good. Yeah, I have a play, if I may introduce one. Yeah,
Go for it.
There's no other. Yeah, okay, cool. So this was an interesting play that I see. Now, I'm just purely from a fundamental point of view. So US dollars, like, going up like crazy at the moment, and with that, exports are, exporting businesses in US is struggling a fair bit right now. So I think in the shorter term, I've been looking at companies that do like internal markets really well, internal within USA really well. And I found out this company called Tyson Foods. So they do, they basically make products and sell it within USA. So that was something that I was looking at yesterday and today was, where can, like, in the US stock sort of play, what can we invest in? And I sort of looked away from the companies that export a lot because of the exchange rate. But that's just my very simple play that I think I will make in the short to medium term as well. That's what I'll just throw in as a play I'm making.
Wait. Well, what is attractive about Tyson Foods? Can you explain that?
It just sells a lot to the local markets. It doesn't rely on exports.
I wonder. Well, whilst you've mentioned that, I wonder, has anyone done any research into hydroponics and all this? I think farming, I think agriculture is going to be such a huge play. I'm trying to figure out how to get into it. Basically, there. Okay, first of all, there's climate change. Whether you think that's caused by carbon emission or not, whether you and whether you think it's climate change is happening. We just have to look at how many floods and bloody bushfires there are more frequent now. But is it caused by carbon emission or not? It really depends on which news network you watch, CNN or Fox. So that's up to those guys to debate it out. It's not up to me here. But however, that's going to threaten agriculture. And then you have the war. I don't think this European war. They could end it by March next year when winter finishes. Putin knows that his cards are up. His time is up. But the way the world is right now, I think there's going to be more wars. Maybe not a World War III, but more what we call regional wars happening around the world because U.S. might elect someone like Trump, might elect someone like Ron DeSantis. If you don't believe me, they're both the front runners. And if they get elected, Trump's idea is to go for the Monroe Doctrine or to go for isolationism, which is basically, hey, let's withdraw our air force bases. Who cares about Middle East or China or Europe? Let them sort it out on their own unless they pay the protection money, which he asked for from South Korea. You know this, Hando. South Korea used to pay $1 billion, and he says hike it to $4 billion in 1 year, protection fee. So anyways, there are going to be more wars. When there's war, like, Egypt, for example, you know this, Rami, is in a bit of strife this year because it gets most of its wheat, if I'm not mistaken, imported from Ukraine, because Ukraine's the largest wheat supplier of Europe and the sixth or the second largest in the world, and Russia is the largest. So if you have battles and naval battles and aerial battles going on over there, it's difficult for the ships to come out carrying all the grains out of Europe. And there are so many other factors, and we all know. Last time we spoke about this, Bill Gates is now the largest farmland owner or landowner, full stop, in the United States. He's just been buying farmland, full stop. Everyone's going to protectionist policies. What I mean by that is that before, China and US and the West, they used to share everything. Now it's kind of like, oh, we could be going to war, so therefore we need to hodl our resources and not to share with other people. So people like India, for example, India has just banned export of wheat or rice, one of those really staple foods. Like, so many people are going to starve, like, because different governments are going to protectionist policies and don't want to export their agricultural produce. So one thing I've been looking into is, on these beach properties I have, I mean, I can't plant anything because it's all sand, but however, hydroponics lets you grow vegetables, grow foods, like basically within your own garage or your own basement. Requires like very minimal, that doesn't require any fertilizer or anything. Like maybe this is I just want to see if any of you gentlemen have done research and which companies in this area could take off. I think it's a massive new field of play.
I haven't done any research into any specific companies or anything, but my old man does hydroponics in Australia. Yeah. Growing like tomatoes and lettuces and things like that.
On an industrial scale?
On an industrial scale, yeah.
On an industrial scale?
Yeah.
Okay, so can I ask, how come he doesn't, does he do it in a warehouse or does he use soil?
He does it on a farm, but like the farm isn't all that because like the farm floods very regularly and stuff like that. Like it's not really that growable. Like it's not very arable. If for the better lack of a better term. And I do remember he borrowed technology from Korea. So he spent a lot of his Korean, but I do understand that this kind of technology is quite big in Korea because Korea has like bugger all land, but it's got really like heaps of people to feed. So when those two parts cross, you kind of have to turn to hydroponics to the point that you know how like in Australia we've got backyards, so we can have a little veggie patch in the yard, but in Korea you can't because you live in apartments and stuff. So there's like these like domestic sales of hydroponic machines that get sent out with bits of nutrients and bits of seeds and whatnot, so that they can grow their own lettuce and spring onions and things like that at home.
So hydroponics is already huge in Korea?
Yeah, it's quite big, yeah.
Wow, really? I didn't know that. Now we all know that China has been shutting down in cities like Shanghai and I think Chongqing or wherever it is, like just at the drop of a hat. And when it shut down, there were food shortages, and there were people like literally fighting for vegetables in shops and stuff. Like you see viral videos of people fighting for the last bunch of veg or pork or whatever. And I instantly looked at that and I thought, whether it's for pandemic reason or for some other reason, we might have more shortages and more shutdowns of cities and more shit to come, essentially, in the future. And when it does, I do see this hydroponic idea taking off. I've started to research into a few companies that are doing this. They're also new, so new into the field. The technology is new. Yes, I do think Korea and Japan are perfect in terms of adaptation of this thing. And in the bear market, that's a huge area to watch out for to get into. What are the other agricultural? I mean, you only have two other avenues you can play this agricultural thing. One is basically buy into an agricultural futures fund, commodities fund, which then you got to look out for the negative yield rolls. Which is not good. Or the other one is you buy into the 4 or 5 top food-related companies like Bayer, Monsanto, those kind of plays. I mean, they're already huge. They're not going to be your 100x plays. It is possible those smaller hydroponic companies can do great multiples in the next bull market. I do think food security is going to become more and more of a problem. Back to you guys.
Doesn't Berkshire Hathaway hold a big chunk of food as well? I thought I saw something the other day in the 13F.
Well, They when they say food, they mean Warren Buffett holds like 13% of his company is something like Kraft Heinz, the world's largest food company, Kraft, and the largest company, Heinz, combined. Kraft Heinz is more of just a consumer staple. I mean, I would be gobsmacked if Kraft Heinz can do 10x in the next 5 years. You know what I'm saying? Basically, nothing. Well, okay. Well, Yeah, we could look at what Warren Buffett is doing. I don't think he's bought any hydroponics companies though.
No, of course not. No.
And anything
But-
from
Yeah, but it is a big chunk of his portfolio. It sits right under, what is it? Right under Occidental Petroleum.
I understand. What he's doing there is he's buying. It's always been a big part of his portfolio. He's buying the safety of consumer staples for food, like Kraft Heinz, like baked beans, Kraft cheese, that sort of thing. He's not buying into this idea of food security. The play I'm thinking about is food security is going to become such a huge problem in the world, and if it becomes a bigger problem as I think it will become, then do what Brian's doing, which is buy farmland. Like that's what Brian's done 2 years ago. But if you don't have $200,000 to buy farmland, or $500,000, depends on how big the patch of land you want, then what about just stocks in food production, in hydroponics, fertilizing? I don't know. I mean the crazy moonshot opportunities seem to be in two fields. One, hydroponics when it comes to food. We're talking the food industry, the two sub industries that can have moonshots. Hydroponics, and two, artificial meat. So I haven't followed up on that a lot because they've already taken off. But in a bear market, if they crash back down, I would like to look a lot more into the 2 or 3 top firms on the companies that make artificial meat.
I looked into. I think there's a good potential in there. Did you guys see Kevin Hart opening a vegan fast food restaurant?
Yeah. I saw a bit of news of that. Yeah.
So there is that. If you look at the World Economic Forum, one of the predictions they make is one of the agendas that they have for 2030 is that people will eat far less meat as well. So I think there is a direction of food. I think that and plant-based food and things like that. I think that's gonna be quite significant. And I don't know if you guys saw as well. Like, so you guys see that thing called the line, where people live in this massively long line. It's a Middle Eastern project. Oh, it was huge, and it's literally in Saudi Arabia. Like they're planning to. It takes like 20 minutes to go from one end to another, and it's like really.
Yeah, the line. I saw that being announced. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, how are you going to supply food to a location like that? You know what I mean? Like, land around there isn't particularly arable, so you'd have to you have to look towards hydroponics to supply food there.
By the way, now that you've mentioned the line, this is there's a story I should tell you guys. There's I think it's announced by Saudi Arabia, right? Now, basically, if you guys Google the lines, as in you draw a line through a page, the line Saudi Arabia, you will find that it's the Prince bin Salman of Saudi Arabia. Yes, that's the famous one involved with that Turkish the Turkish embassy incident. He has announced that they're going to create a line in the in Saudi Arabia through or near the capital, which is Riyadh. I don't know how to pronounce it. And what happens is you basically build a city for something like 20 million people to live in, and it's basically one thing long line. It's kind of like, it looks almost like the Great Wall, and it's straight. It goes right through the desert, and everyone lives in this long mega city. And I have followers and friends in Saudi Arabia, and they texted me and they said, since he announced that, guess what happened to the property prices in Riyadh, which is the capital of Saudi Arabia? Any guesses, guys?
Skyrocketed.
In 3 months, it's gone up 3x. Imagine property prices going up. Land prices going up 3x like you buy a plot of land for $1 million, for example, in Riyadh, and you spend $100,000, 10% down payment. You borrow 90%, and then you wait for the news to come out, and then it goes to 3 mil. You sell it for 3 mil. You pay the bank back 900,000. Keep 2.1 million for yourself after 3 months. It's just crazy. It's just crazy, man.
Yeah, Riyadh is nowhere near where they're going to actually build the line, though.
Oh, I don't. But the property prices since the announcement has gone up 3x. I'm not even sure why that is happening, but
I wonder that's how much people don't want to live in the bloody line, hey? Like, it's like, oh shit, I never want to freaking live in the line. I'm going to buy a plot of land in Riyadh and just live there.
not sure. I'm not sure what's happening, but it's I'm getting reports of huge property price increases in that area. So I guess that's another sniping in a bull market, in a bear market, sniping real estate deals, sniping stock deals, sniping the crypto deals. Are there any locations in the world where we like for real estate to boom, or great opportunities to buy undervalued cheap real estate when we're at the crypto stock market bear winter bottom? Any places?
Paris. Before we jump to sorry guys, is somebody else talking?
No, I was just gonna say I just answered Pablo's question, just saying Paris.
Oh, Paris.
You go on.
Oh, I was just gonna mention one more stock play is I don't know, a lot of the listeners, I'm guessing, would be interested in crypto and stuff because you're most of you follow Pablo and Brian, and so just in terms of, I guess, stocks, I think a good play in this time is to follow the smart money. So 13F is once every quarter, but if you look at things like Form 4, which is these hedge fund managers that have more than 10% stake within the company are considered insiders. So when they do make a purchase or a sale, they have to make an announcement publicly. So I think that's a good peek into into what the smart money is doing, and credit where credit is due. If I'm encouraging myself to follow those plays as much as I can, and there has been some really interesting and pretty smart plays that's come from guys like Warren Buffett and some of the other bigger hedge fund managers as well. Interesting to note, Michael Burry is holding no shares whatsoever, other than just $3 million in a prison security company. Just something that's something that I'm sort of leaning towards as well. It's just like when I'm too dumb to make money, then just follow the smart money and how well they would make money in the parts of their portfolio that I guess hurt the most, right? Because it means they hold such a big portion of the company that it actually obviously matters to them. It is their most precious baby. So that's another play that I'll just sprinkle on in terms of stocks and how crypto nerds like all of us would navigate that space as well.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Look out for the 13F fallings and see what those guys are holding. You know what I think is also interesting is what are the insiders buying? Like, there's always buybacks, but when they do an inordinate amount of buybacks, like say for example, in a bear market, right? In a bear market, basically, if one company, if one company is buying back a lot of their own, stocks, and if if they're buying back a lot of their own stocks, which they do normally, but a lot of the insiders are buying as well in the bear market, and they're buying amounts that are percentage-wise larger, much larger than other companies, then you have to say, well, the insider is certainly thinking this stock is cheap, rather than like Elon Musk, who just keeps on selling and selling and selling and doing posts on Twitter saying, should I sell my Tesla stock? Should I sell 10% of my Tesla stock to find an excuse to sell? Insiders, on the other hand, if some companies are buying and buying a lot of it, then you got to think in a bear market, it's like, well, at least these guys are confident that this is good value now. And if anyone knows about these companies better than them, then I don't know who would know these companies better than them. I mean, we can all name some examples, but one I've noticed is Tencent. Tencent is this massive Chinese online company. It's kind of like the, I guess it's inappropriate to compare to Google of China or the or the sorry, the Facebook of China. But what they've done is their stocks have gotten smashed due to this one, China cracking down on its monopolies, online monopolies, and two, also due to this spat between China and the U.S. So therefore, it could potentially get delisted from the U.S. stock exchanges. However, I've been looking at it on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, where it also trades, so it can't get delisted there. But what's been happening is that their number of share buybacks, which does happen quite often, and we all know this happens to quite a lot of big American companies as well. It's this year is 10x compared to last year. So imagine if say hypothetically, Tencent bought 10 million shares of their own stocks last year. Now they're buying 100 million. It's 10x compared to same time last year. Basically, it's down like 70% or so. It's pretty much a monopoly in China in like about three or four different areas, at least. So no one worries. No one thinks that it's going to go down. It's obviously quite stable in my mind, but it can go down more before it comes back up, and it can actually get delisted on the Nasdaq if China and US has more of a spat. So the place I'm looking at it is on the Hong Kong exchange. I mean, none of this is financial advice because I'm still doing my research. I'm just bringing a discussion to you guys. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, keep an eye on the Form 4s. So not the 13F, but the Form 4s is really good because all the insiders make all the decisions to buy and sell. And the insider has a very strict definition. So you've got directors and officers of the company, and shareholders owning more than 10%. So I'd say, and speaking more specifically of Tencent, well, yeah, Tencent is very far from a stupid company. I think that's a pretty decent play in terms of keeping an eye on their behaviors and the buybacks to go in, and the buyback is good as well because it means they're also, I guess, pumping in some sort of demand for their stocks as well from a market perspective as well. So I think those are good signs to look for making gains in the bear market.
So I have a friend. One of the things that's happening in the United States is that there's a shortage of housing. So cities are loosening up their building codes, allowing multifamily use when it wouldn't be allowed before. And I have a friend who's making an absolute killing buying single-family homes, pushing them through zoning to become multifamily. Making a few little changes like adding a bathroom or making the kitchen a little bigger, and then renting out single-family homes to 4 different parties. So making 4 different rental revenue on one property. Of course, researching in your local city, but more and more cities are actually allowing this and even encouraging it. The sister concept to that is called an accessory dwelling unit, where you're allowed to put like an apartment or something in your backyard, and they're literally just overriding all the zoning and the rules and just saying just go for it. So it's all legal, it's all above board. And he actually started a fund where he's raising millions of dollars from investors to do this like all over the country. And that to me is the exact kind of opportunity that people should be looking for, whether that's finding companies that are doing that and investing in stocks, because if you don't have time to do it yourself, whatever, fine. But there's these opportunities like that where there's these basic needs, medicine, food, shelter, hydroponics, food shortages, housing shortages. I would put food shortages and housing shortages almost in the same category. And there's going to be people who make a lot of money doing that. And one of the interesting things about the bear market too is, a lot of people are saying, oh, well, I can't do that in the bear market. Real estate prices are going down. What people don't realize is there's less competition in the bear market, because the other guy who might have bought that single family home to turn it into a multi-family dwelling can't do it because he can't afford the interest, or he can't, he lost all of his money in Terra Luna, right? So there's also a lot more opportunity and less competition. And if you can get a few buddies together and you each throw in some money, so you don't even need a bank loan, you don't even need to pay the 7%. Now you're the king of the hill. Whereas in the real estate boom, you would have never even had an opportunity at that house or that property, because there's 17 other investors lined up with all cash full price offers, $50,000 over listing price. So there are challenges in a bear market that we all face. We all feel the pain, the high interest rates, but there's also a lot of people just going back to eating potato chips and watching Netflix, and they can't afford to do anything. And so the field clears out. It's like when you're on the dance floor and there's like 10 girls and you're just like one guy, right? And you're like, okay, well, there's not a lot of competition. That's how the field is going to look here over the next couple of years of recession. There's going to be opportunities. Early bird gets the worm. And if you hit one of those right and you buy a property or you renovate a property, you get something like that, you could be set for life. Your basic needs could be covered from that income for the rest of your life. And then that frees up your time to build more projects and do other things. So that's kind of where my head is going right now. And I know that doesn't work for everybody, because some people here are in different countries where that doesn't apply, but that's what I see under my nose in the United States.
Yeah, the situation you're talking about in Australia is called building micro apartments. So basically, you take a house which say has 5 bedrooms, and then you basically knock down a few walls, install a self-contained bathroom, self-contained like kitchenette or a shared kitchen, and you make sure it's complies with the fire safety code or whatever, and then that becomes a self-contained building and self-contained apartment of its own, and you can rent it out to 5 different parties. And I'm sure, being in real estate yourself, Hando, you're across this. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so real estate's an interesting one. So I'll speak from like a market point of view, from like what happens in USA, and then how that's gonna speak into Australia and ripple out as well. Look, real estate market's still looking pretty strong. You got to look at like how many properties are in the negative equities and things like that. Right now, the insurance rate is high, and mortgage refinance and finance mortgage application rates are really, really low at the moment as well. But so here are the numbers. Right now, the properties in negative equity, like a lot of people own their properties outright in USA, and properties that are in negative equity is literally like 0.9 something percent right now. And if the property prices decrease by 10% on a median basis, then it'll be like 1 point something percent. And then if it dropped by another, and I got a video on YouTube about this as well, and if it drops another 15 to 20%, then it's going to put the negative equity into like 3 point something percent. So it's overall steadily squat. That in Australian means not much at all. So it doesn't look like it looks like there is going to be a bit of a crash coming in. And of course, when the median price drops to these figures, there's going to be some pockets within the country where there's going to be a larger fall, and where some property prices may still remain buoyant. So if you look at that, I don't think real estate is going to drop too much. Like, I would love to see a massive correction, but real estate is just I don't think it will, because what's going to really drive the supply in the market is your foreclosures. But it's simply not going to be there, because as you just heard, negative equity is what's going to the trigger the foreclosures. But it's also interesting to note, however, that if property prices were to drop 15 to 20%, and it's going to put the negative equity into like that 2% mark or something, 95% of those 2% are the people that have bought properties in 2021 and 2022, which is quite bad for the people that bought property in the last couple of years. Now, property prices now are also 1 in 5 vendors are now accepting lower prices than what's been asked on the MLSs, which is really, really interesting right now. And a lot of them are now finding that their expectation is too high and prices they're getting is not quite there. So what they're doing is they're choosing to rent out their properties. And I think that's a really good move. And if you got property now, I'd suggest to try and rent it out as soon as possible, because the rental market's going to become better supplied. I wouldn't say oversupplied, but become better supplied than it is right now. And if you can rent out your property now and lock in a good rental return, then that's really good, because rental is usually agreed on for a 12 months basis at the very minimum. So if you can lock those higher gains in now, getting ready for the increase in interest rates, which may be variable or fixed, depending on what kind of mortgage you have, then that's there's an opportunity there to actually secure a high cash flow for the next year at least. So that's sort of the general outlook at the moment. Here in Australia, Brian, you mentioned about loosening building codes to do. I think the story is quite opposite here. So they're trying to I guess brace for impact in a way, and to they haven't really touched the building codes, but Australia has one of the strictest building codes, even until now, and that has been what has caused the increase in prices here in Australia. So, but the people who are making money in the subdivision is what we call it here. So 1 into 2 and 2 into 4, that kind of division, they are becoming craftier and craftier to the point that they have an insider connection with the local councils and governments, and to be able to lobby a decision in their favor, which I've seen my clients do, which is very, very interesting. And so, but having said that, do we wait for a 10% correction? Do we wait for that 15% correction? Well, maybe. But I think again, research is what's going to really going to conquer. If you want to make money, seriously, go out and do some work. Literally, that's what it is. Put the work in to do the research. Like your friend Brian, I suspect, as much as the government is helping in their policies to loosen up the building costs, I'm sure he's out there trying to cut the best deals, and trying to snipe out good pockets to actually get the best facelift and uplift in the value adds that he's doing. So I think in that sense there's a lot of hacking opportunities that you can put into industries like real estate. So that's something that I would probably encourage everyone to keep a really, really keen eye on, because
well, I'm really glad. This is a point that I've been wanting to bring up all night. Is put the work in and hacking, and
exactly.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because there's a time for just buying into any crypto that 10x's, and that's great, and that time happened. But the bear market is a time to roll up your sleeves and look for those opportunities. Exactly. And I mean, I have my real estate portfolio, and every property that I've purchased has happened exactly like what you said. I'm sniffing around, I'm looking for a deal, I'm walking down some street, I see an old guy on the corner, I shake his hand, I start talking to him, he says, "Oh, my neighbor's selling his house, do you want to take a look?" Stuff like that. Because that's how you really get ahead in life. I mean, if you want to talk about just picking the right crypto and you're going to hang your whole financial future on hoping you pick the right one, okay, fine, you could do that if you want to, but I would rather stack the odds in my favor. And when there are dramatic changes in macroeconomic conditions and interest rates, it knocks everything off kilter, and you find weird opportunities like that in places that you would not have normally found them when everybody was sailing in the same direction, on the same boat, going to the same place. One of the reasons why I like real estate and why I'm sort of attracted to it now in a bear market, I think it's no matter where you are in the world, just about anywhere, is it's a necessity. It goes back to talking about food shortages, and in many of these areas, I don't care what country you're in, population dense areas are always going to have a demand for housing near the beach, near shopping centers, near hospitals where people can walk. That's just a basic human need, right? Like that's never going to go away. And so if you have the opportunity to make headway in your learning and researching, if there's some younger people listening right now, it doesn't mean you have to do this tomorrow. Yeah. I tell my followers that you can a lot of real estate professionals work on commission. They work for free. You can call up a realtor and just say, "Hey, I'm looking at this house. What do you think?" And just strike up a conversation. It's just a good skill to build, and it's a good time to do it right now. And a lot of areas in the United States, the rents are still going up, and they're more reliably going up than housing prices. I do agree with you, Handel, that there's no impending foreclosure crisis. It's a whole different scenario now. It's nothing like 2008. You're absolutely right that everybody has equity. So it's not the situation where you're saying, oh, we're waiting for the housing crash and then everybody gets to buy a foreclosure for 50% off. That's not what we're talking about here. It's in the context of just looking for bear market opportunities, stocks, crypto, real estate. That's just one that I see people making money with now.
Brian, so
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say about the with the real estate question. Asking you guys real quick in regards to like, what do you think about like Paris, France, with the 2024 Summer Olympics coming up? Interest rate for mortgages are 1.5% to 2%, and then obviously the euro to the dollar right now is getting, so I feel like that could be a possible play.
Yeah. You know what would be even better than that is if you or someone starts a fund, flies to Paris, gets an apartment there, learns the market, and then you say,
well, I have somebody there that's going to send like a pitch deck proposal, get the mortgage, the lawyers, have everything like that set up, and he wants me to go seek out investors. So that's something that he wants me to start having a conversation about and see what you guys think.
yeah,
that's a goal.
that would have been a perfect idea in the bull market, and you issue NFTs to hold shares in that venture. But now I guess it's a bit of a different story because now it's not a bull market, so to sell shares in that you'd have to register with the SEC and not go the NFT route. It's still a very good idea to do individually. To do it as a public sort of share offering or prospectus offering, then it's probably a bit too much of a legal tussle. But if you really believe in the idea, it could work. But look, buying real estate in a Olympic city, whether it's the Paris or Brisbane, that just makes sense. I mean, just look at how much Sydney has gone up leading up to the Olympics. It was a huge bull run leading up to the Olympics. Buying an Olympic city has almost always turned out to be a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. I would also look at different sectors of property. So property doesn't just mean your houses.